Ever get those like little everyday anxieties and you can't help but wonder if like maybe they're connected to something deeper?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, today we are diving deep into Mel Robbins, the self-help guru.
Yeah.
We're taking you inside her interview on the Diary of a CEO YouTube channel.
It's a good one.
It is so good. And honestly, get ready to have your mind blown. We're talking anxiety, trauma, and some seriously powerful techniques for like turning those feelings around.
Yeah, Mel, she gets really real in this interview. Like, what I found fascinating was how she links what might seem like insignificant childhood events to these like patterns that pop up later in life.
Yes, and she does not hold back. She talks about a really heavy experience being molested as a child. And what's crazy is she didn't even consciously remember it for years.
It's kind of heartbreaking when she tells the story. She was on a ski trip, 4th grade, and she kind of like left her body.
Yeah.
Which, classic trauma response. Wow. And then she briefly remembers it the next morning, sees the other kid, and in that moment, she prioritizes protecting her little brother over herself.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine carrying that? And even without a clear memory, this event, it just like sent shockwaves through her life for decades.
It's like her nervous system got stuck in this like fight or flight mode, And then she talks about how she was terrified of flying.
Really?
Intense anxiety about it. And she links it right back to that childhood experience.
It's like her brain was constantly searching for danger, even when there wasn't any. You know me, I'm all about the science behind this stuff.
Yeah, right.
So when Mel starts talking about this Harvard study on performance anxiety, my ears perked up.
This guy's amazing. So they found that our bodies, they physically react almost identically to excitement and nervousness.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Like, think about it. A racing heart, sweaty palms. Those could be signs of excitement right before, like, a big presentation.
Right.
Or it could be nerves, taking over.
Okay, so how do we hack this? Because that's the big question.
Well, Mel says, and this is huge, by shifting our internal dialogue.
Okay.
We can actually trick our brains into feeling excitement instead of anxiety.
Interesting.
So next time you're freaking out, right, try swapping, I'm so nervous, with I'm excited.
So simple, but like, does it actually work?
Well, there's actually real science behind it. Your brain chemistry, it responds to how you frame your experiences.
So we can rewire our responses.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, speaking of rewiring, let's talk about Mel's, famous 5-second rule. Picture this. Mel's 40, jobless, drowning in debt, feels totally stuck.
Yeah.
This rule, believe it or not, came to her while watching a rocket launch.
She was just frozen, like paralyzed by fear and inaction. She knew she needed to make changes.
Of course.
Get a job, be a better partner, all of it. But she just felt totally overwhelmed. And then she sees this rocket launching on TV and something clicked.
What?
She was like, wait a minute, I need to launch myself out of this rut.
I love it. Okay, but how?
So she starts using this countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whenever she felt that hesitation creeping in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like a defibrillator.
For procrastination.
Yes.
Love it.
And get this, there's actually a scientific reason why it works. That countdown. It disrupts those like automatic negative thought patterns.
Oh, interesting.
And it forces your prefrontal cortex, that's like the decision-making part of your brain, to kick in.
Wow.
It's like you're hitting the reset button on your brain before self-doubt has a chance to, take hold.
I love it. So powerful, right? Like such a simple tool.
It's amazing how effective it can be.
And that's what's so cool about it. You can use it for anything.
Yeah.
Getting out of bed, finally making that phone call you've been putting off.
Yeah.
Even just like choosing the salad over the pizza. It's about like taking control, right?
Yes. It's like short-circuiting those patterns, the ones that hold you back. But get this, Mel doesn't stop there.
Okay, there's more.
Oh, yeah. And she actually thinks her newest technique, she calls it the high five habit, is even more powerful.
Okay, I have to admit, when I first heard about this, I was like, Mel, come on, high-fiving yourself in the mirror. Seriously. But there's actually like some pretty interesting science behind it.
It does sound a little out there.
It does.
But she's getting at something really important, like our relationship with ourselves, She talks about how even with all her success, that inner critic, that voice.
Tell me about it.
That just loves to point out your flaws. It was still there.
So we're talking about literally looking in the mirror every morning and giving yourself a high five.
Literally.
No way. And she says this can actually change how you see yourself.
That's what she claims. And here's the thing. When you high five, even yourself, your brain, it releases dopamine. You know, that feel-good chemical?
Oh, yeah.
The one associated with, like, rewards and celebrations.
Okay, I mean, I'm all for a little dopamine boost, but how does that actually work?
Well, think about it. When you achieve something awesome, what do?
Throw my hands up in the air.
Exactly. You're instinctively tapping into those celebratory pathways in your brain. So high-fiving yourself. It's like mimicking that feeling of victory, even if you don't totally believe it yet.
So we're like rewiring our brains for self-love.
That's the idea.
One high five at a time.
Exactly.
And, you know, this isn't about, like, ignoring the negative thoughts.
Yeah, right.
Or pretending everything's perfect.
Right.
It's about acknowledging them and then choosing to shift to a more positive mindset. Would you say that's accurate?
Absolutely. And it's about recognizing that you're worthy of your own love and support, you know, flaws and all. It's about building a partnership with yourself.
Because, let's be honest, we can be our own worst enemies.
Right. Oh, 100%.
So quick to judge ourselves. Like, we would never talk to a friend the way we talk to ourselves sometimes.
It's so true. And Mel, she says something really interesting. She says self-love. It's the foundation for everything else.
Relationships, work, your passions, everything. Because you can't be kind to yourself. How can you show up authentically for other people? It's like that saying, you know, you can't pour from an empty cup.
That is so true. And speaking of showing up authentically, I love how Mel defines purpose. It's not about finding this one big thing, you know. Yeah. It's about embracing your true self and sharing that with the world.
It's like your worth is already there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about achieving something big or like needing other people to validate you. And when you really get that, it changes everything.
It's like you're giving yourself permission to be like fully yourself, quirks and all. And then from that place, you can connect with the world in a deeper way.
Exactly. And, you know, Mel talks about that feeling of being stuck that so many people feel. She's got this really interesting take on it. She sees it as like a signal from your body.
Really?
Yeah, like hunger or thirst. It's like your body telling you something's off.
So instead of beating ourselves up for feeling stuck, it's actually...
It's information.
Yeah.
It's a sign that a need isn't being met, you know?
Yeah.
Like this deep human need for growth.
Oh, wow. So it's not just laziness or whatever.
Right. It's like we're literally wired to evolve.
So that feeling, it's our system being like, hello, time to shake things up a bit.
Yes. It's like when you've been stuck inside all day.
Yeah.
Your body, it craves movement, fresh air. It's the same thing. When we feel stuck, it's our mind, our soul, craving something new.
Yeah.
New experiences, challenges, you know.
Okay. That makes so much sense. And it kind of takes the pressure off, too.
Yeah.
Because it's not about needing to make some huge life change. It's about, like, paying attention to those smaller cues.
Totally. And you'd be surprised sometimes even small changes can make a big difference.
Right, right. Like what? Give me an example.
Well, like taking a class,
Yeah.
you know, or picking up a new hobby. Even just changing up your routine a bit.
Just to shake things up.
Exactly. Just to get those creative juices flowing.
And Mel, she actually connects this feeling of being stuck to our need to be seen. It's fascinating.
Right. She talks about how back in the caveman days, if you weren't part of the tribe.
You were basically doomed.
Exactly. You're like tiger food.
So we're hardwired for that connection. Makes sense.
Yeah. So when we don't feel seen or appreciated for who we are, it triggers that deep down feeling of unease, like a primal instinct.
It's like our internal alarm bells are going off.
Right. Like warning, out of sync with the tribe. Even if our tribe now is our friends, our family, or even just ourselves.
So it all comes back to that self-love, right? That inner connection.
And that's where that high five habit comes full circle. Because by seeing ourselves, accepting ourselves, celebrating ourselves.
We're basically fulfilling that need for connection, but it starts from within.
Exactly. It's like we become our own cheerleader, you know, the one who always has our back.
You know, the thing I love about Mel Robbins and listening to this interview, she's so open and honest about everything, even with all her success.
It's refreshing.
It's so refreshing because it reminds you that nobody has it all figured out, and that's okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's in those moments of like vulnerability that we really connect with people.
Yeah, it reminds us we're all in this together. This whole self-discovery thing is a journey, not a destination. So honestly, this deep dive has been amazing, and it really drives home the point that we have the power to change the stories we tell ourselves.
We can break free from those old patterns, you know, challenge those limiting beliefs and create a life that really lights us up.
Yes. And sometimes the smallest actions can make the biggest difference, whether it's that 5-second countdown.
Or that high five in the mirror.
Exactly. So if you take away one thing from our deep dive into Mel Robbins' world, Let it be this. You are worthy. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of support, just as you are. And this whole journey, this self-discovery thing, it's a process, right? So embrace the experiment, celebrate every single win, no matter how small. And hey, don't be afraid to give yourself a high five along the way. You never know what incredible breakthroughs are just around the corner.